All right, welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter. Uncle Dave, yeah, it's been you got a nice win, so you got your SMU hat on. We'll get to that eventually. I follow, a bunch of different basketball pages statewide and everything because sometimes these kind of things they don't get put into the public eye like how they should. So Bob Knight
Yeah,
is getting a statue outside of Assembly Hall, and I think it's something that obviously is he's certainly deserving. Three national championships, undefeated season,
yep.
and Final Fours, 11 Elite Eight appearances, 24 NCAA tournament appearances, and was talking to my mom. I think you might agree with this too. Like top 10 figures of all basketball cultural wise, I think he would be in there. I think Bob Knight, honestly.
It's definitely top 10 coaches, no doubt about it.
Yeah, with you look at how when you think of Indiana basketball, you think of him, just the whole state, whether
Oh,
it's
yeah,
Pacers or Indiana State. Larry Bird obviously would be up there with Indiana State, but Bob Knight, I think, would be at the top of Indiana basketball as far as a figure goes.
sure.
One of
Sure.
the
Jimmy
best,
Chadwick and Bob Knight.
Yep, one of the best movies and stories too. Hoosiers, so a movie based on him, arguably the best movie about a coach of all time, even though it was high school coach that Gene Hackman played in that movie was the director said Bob Knight was the figure inspired by that movie. So obviously enough time has passed. It was an ugly ending, obviously, Indiana, him getting let go there, but
Sure.
anyone who was involved in that still is not there anymore. So I think it's something that's long overdue, but it was nice to see that he had got there eventually before he passed away, because for the longest time
Sure.
he didn't even go back there.
Sure.
So I think this is a great thing. So what do you think of Bob Knight being commemorated with the statue? I'm sure you think it's something that is deserving.
Yeah, it should have been there a long time ago. Again, they like to wait till people die and then they do this. It's like Pete Rose with the Hall of Fame stuff. I mean, Tom Seaver didn't get a statue with the Mets until he was gone. I mean, can we do this beforehand? It'd be nice. But these people are in charge. I don't think are always the brightest, so it's very frustrating. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I just don't understand it sometimes. But I think it's not even a question. How's Indiana done since he left?
Right. Yeah, they've been to put it kindly, middle of the pack.
Oh, I mean, like right now they're scrapping to get in the damn tournament. They're just not that kind of team.
Right.
It's not good enough anymore. And so it's the way it goes. You made your decision. You don't want guys like him in there. I get it. But at the same time, never been as good. He covered up a lot of weaknesses in that place, obviously, or he wouldn't have kept winning. And the game was different back then, people will say. But yeah, also the game was different back then because you had to teach your players, and he taught his players running some of the best motion offense in the history of basketball. So never had the most talent either.
Yeah, he didn't get the necessarily the top recruits, and he did do a great thing. He tried recruiting guys always out of the state. He always,
Sure, he also tried to recruit guys with an edge who could take hard coaching, and he also, his best player ever had was Isaiah. He had Quinn Buckner, he had Scott May. Those are great players. Kent Benson was a great college player. Alan Henderson was good. Damon Bailey was a very good player who didn't pan out, but he had some Landon Turner who got hurt in a car accident. Great player as well. But just fantastic coach, great motion offense, very tough, definitely an acquired taste. But again, always had his players back. And despite what the 30 for 30 is, he's not a murderer. So that guy was a coward who did that thing. But that's all right. That's the way it goes.
I think also with what you mentioned too, the only really true elite NBA player he coached was Isaiah Thomas. After that, just it goes. You don't just see it there. Like you said, he had a couple nice guys that had decent
Yeah,
careers.
Kent Benson and Quinn Buckner. Quinn Buckner won with the 80s
Yeah,
Celtics, bringing
yeah,
it
he was
back.
a nice role player in the NBA. Yep.
Ken Benson and won with a little bit with the Pistons. He was a backup center. Scott May had some moments, but this is a guy who did not coach those kind of guys, but still won. So Bob
I'm
Knight
sure,
getting any kind of award is long overdue.
I'm sure there were a lot of obviously most I think Indiana basketball fans were upset when he left and departed that they lost their identity. But I'm sure there was a segment that thought, "Hey, this is Indiana, and we'll continue winning." Maybe not at
That's
that.
what they all think. That's what
Yeah,
they all think. They all think that. Gary Williams left Maryland. They all thought he sucked. And how's that going?
right.
Al Skinner at BC. How's that going? People think that winning is automatic. They think that because they want you to win, that you're going to win. It's like a parent watching their kid on the team. And then when that parent hears your team doesn't have enough talent, they think, how could you say that? My son's on the team. Well, it's the same
Right.
shit here.
Right.
How was St. John's after Conaseca left? And, once Patino leaves, they'll go back to normal unless they hire the next great coach. And, UConn had they do before Dan Hurley, and they'll bitch, and then eventually he'll leave, and they won't be UConn anymore.
Right. Well, you had the 1 year with Kevin Ollie with where they
Absolutely. He won with, he had very good team. He had a great run, but, right after that they folded. But, he's
they
just
did.
not,
Yeah.
they're just, it's people think that winning is automatic and none of them have ever competed a day in their life. It's all the people who just donate money and shit like that, or just watch the games and, think that, the kid averaging 4 a game and CYO is good. So, it's just people who don't know. There's just a ton of that shit out there these days.
We talked about it too recently. The latest example of that is Jim Boeheim with leaving Syracuse.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just see how ordinary they are. You think almost Syracuse basketball, when he was coaching there, them going to Sweet 16s and making the tournament and everything was just commonplace. But after he leaves, you could just see that's not the case no more.
No, it's not the case. And they sealed their fate the other night. They lose a horrible game to Carolina without their best player to get blown out. So they're hanging on by a thread now. They're pretty much done.
Right.
And, Red Autry is a good man. I know him, but I think they're going to probably move on from him because they wanted him to spend money. They went out and got Georgia Tech's best player, and they're still losing.
The next man to get a statue, Uncle Dave, and he's still alive to talk about it, is Pat Riley now with the Lakers. For those that don't know, Pat Riley was a part of the first 6 Lakers teams that won championships, whether as a player or an assistant coach. So he won as a player in 1972. And then the infamous Magic Johnson game that you talk about, which is maybe the best game ever played by a player in a single game in the
Yeah.
finals. In
Yep.
1980, he was an assistant there. And then the
Yep.
rest of the ones that he won in the 80s, he was the head coach. When you think of the Lakers, I think you think of Kareem, you think of Magic, you think of even Jerry Buss, I think, before Pat Riley. Where do you place Pat Riley, Uncle Dave, role-wise with all those Lakers teams that won with him as an assistant coach and as a head coach? I know you said there's obviously this mistakes that he made, but overall, what did you think of Pat Riley during those years with the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, well, he understood that he wasn't going to be the main cog. You have Kareem and Magic, so your job's not to fuck it up. So what should you focus on? Well,
Right.
I'll focus on being a motivator and trying to keep these guys motivated and try to find new ways to do it. It's like what Phil Jackson did with the Bulls.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can burn like paper in a cup, but you had Mike and Scotty and Dennis Rodman and Tony Kukoc. So let's get serious here. But the bottom line is he figured out I'll be a motivator. I'll keep them motivated, and he stayed out of their way. And he listened to Kareem, and he had Jerry West, and I think Pat's probably 5th or 6th in that cog, but he's still very important 5th or 6th.
Yeah, you think of Jerry West maybe 2 before him as well. But I will say, you know what, to not screw it up, that's not a backhanded compliment. There's many coaches that
No,
screw
it's not.
great teams. So for him to not do that and to let the engine run, you certainly have to give him some credit at least. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
he's
like
a great coach, and then he went and won with the Knicks, and he did a good job with the Heat too, and he's been a great GM with the Heat. I'm surprised they didn't pick up Giannis somehow. I was surprised about that. I just figured Pat Riley would make it happen, but that didn't happen. I could have sworn that he'd get that done down there, but now they're gonna have to go back into purgatory like everybody else. But no, he's a Hall of Fame coach, top 10 coach of all time in my book. Like I said, he practiced too long in the '89 finals. He believed some of his own bullshit. We all do that. You don't need a 3-hour practice before the '89 finals to lose Byron Scott and then Magic. So what are you gonna do?
I think also what is understated, I think obviously you think of him with his Lakers teams here, but him getting every ounce of ability out of those Knicks teams. I know that those were some ugly games, but he maximized, I think, that team's ability. And then winning a championship with the Heat in '06. I mean, he's certainly a godfather in the game of basketball, I think, in the NBA level, that's for sure.
Well, he's also part of Rupp's Runts, which is one of the most famous teams.
That's also, yeah, he's part of that. Yeah, he goes
He's
back
a
that far.
tough kid from Schenectady, New York. Went to Kentucky. He's also a guy that has really let Spoelstra be the coach, which is great, and that's why that Heat franchise has stability. Sure, people are going to give him credit for not re-signing Wade, and probably they should have, but Wade should have took the deal because he went and got the same money somewhere else. He did the right thing with Butler because Jimmy doesn't play enough. I don't want to hear about playoff Jimmy. Playoff Jimmy's had some shitty playoff games, and you can't play 50 games a year and claim that playoff Jimmy's enough. It's just not. So, he's did the right thing with Butler. He's just got to find the next great player. He's got to hold on to Hero and Bam somehow and find another good player, and they'll be right back.
Jerome Tang with Kansas State.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, what
Yes,
happened,
I did.
but he got relieved of duty here, and basically
Yes.
he's getting blamed with like conduct detrimental to the university here by talking about how very few of the players that are on the current roster right now are going to be there next year, and
They don't want to pay him.
exactly. They scheduled he scheduled a 6 a.m. practice, and some players didn't show up for that. So basically, they're trying to use his words there to try to say it's contract detrimental to the university and not
Yeah,
pay.
they just don't want to pay him. St. John's doing the same thing with Mike Anderson, who's a gentleman and a great coach, and they're going to say to try to fire him for cause, which is bullshit.
To do this, but this was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. Like, I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. You know, it is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer, no words. So y'all got two questions. So whoever want to ask two questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, like I'm like pissed, and this is.
Bottom line is you didn't win enough. You wanted Rick Pitino, so you did it. Don't lie about it. But I know you don't want to pay the 10 or 20 million you owe him. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Tang was the hot man 2 years ago. I remember him getting the Elite Eight.
Well, that was the thing. He was coach of the year that year. So for them going to that, I mean, I don't know if you're going to have a coach that's as successful as him in this run that he's had since he's been there. I mean, that's a hard place.
Lots changed in 2 years, though. The whole system has totally changed in 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's the second year of the total change, and he's the guy that Kansas State's probably not going to spend the same money. Obviously, not as much as Kansas or some of the other teams in the Big 12. But the thing is, all of a sudden you realize if it's going to only be about money, you do minimize the coach in some ways. At the schools, you can compete. But I watch so many games, so many nights when I'm watching more basketball than ever. But, the thing is, you see some great coaching performances, but at the end of the night, you do need a couple of guys that can go get a bucket, without getting 35 screens.
You think you would want to back up your coach, and a coach that's done a lot for you these last few years. I mean, going to Elite Eight at Kansas State, that's pretty damn good. And for those of you that don't know, he was on the Oregon Ducks staff for 19 seasons, and he was on that team that won a national championship as an assistant coach in 2021. Right. So this is a guy who's won a lot. I don't know, so I don't know who you think you're going to get that's going to replace him, that's going to be better there. Like you said, if you're able to get Rick Pitino or Jim Boeheim, I get it, but you're not going to replace Jerome Tang with one of those guys. So
I'm hoping that when Dana leaves Oregon, that maybe he'll resurface at Oregon. That's what I'm hoping for.
Right.
Because I think he's a good guy. I think he got a little full of himself in that run. Like I said, we all do it. Mm-hmm. Things are going good. You just get in a different mindset for yourself. Very hard to stay there. But I remember, not liking the way he would talk to every other team's players and try to make it like kiss their ass, and the transfer portal being what it is. So he used to basically kiss everybody's ass, and I was like, wait a second, you shouldn't be doing that in front of everybody else. Looks like you're trying to get their players on the handshake. Right. I know, Coach K used to say something personal, but back then people weren't stealing each other's players like that.
Right.
But the thing is, he's a good coach. I think you can't get up there and threaten guys not going to be there next year. I think press conferences, the reason they have the 10-minute rules for you to calm down, but I guess somebody is not calming him down. I really think that an assistant that he trusts has to calm him down before I think every head coach needs that these days, because they're looking in your ass.
The athletic director here is nervous if you retain him he's going to be doing that. It's going to scare away future prospects, so you can't be doing that.
Yeah, but there's your problem right there. You're letting the inmates run the asylum.
Exactly, that's a problem, right?
If you're not going to go to 6 a.m. practice, you're not fucking playing. I don't give a shit.
That's the thing. If you're not going to empower the coach, or you don't feel like he's a guy that you want to move forward with, I guess that's what happens, right? Once he,
I've never let guys who miss practice play, except for one reason. You're on a recruiting trip for another sport. God bless you. I'll do that.
Right.
Or you're at a football awards thing, because football awards run into stuff like that. But if you're on a recruiting trip and you're a D1 player in basketball or baseball or football, I get it, but you're not at practice, you don't play. I don't give a shit who you are. The day I do that, you can come get me out of there.
So I guess at the end of the day here, do you have a problem with what he said at that press conference, Uncle Dave?
Yes, I do.
Cincinnati by 29. Yeah,
you can't throw your guys under the bus. I know it's a new day and age, and they're getting paid, and everybody tells you they should be tough, but you still can't do it. I still like the Bob Knight philosophy of when you win, you deflect. When you lose, you take blame. And I know nobody wants to get fired today, but let's face it, these guys are getting paid so much, getting fired gets you like a 2-year vacation. It's not a big deal. Handle yourself with class. Maybe he wanted to get fired and he knew this would be a way to do it. But now
you never know.
Now you sound like a lunatic, and you're going to look like maybe like you had mental issues. And so now they're going to try to get you on the pay. I mean, he'll at least get half of it. I know Beard got his money. Thank God. That was bullshit with what happened with Beard. And then, the bottom line is, there's still Mike Anderson still fighting that with St. John's, and I get it. You want Rick Pitino, but just pay the guy the money.
Maybe this is a situation where he has to be an assistant maybe for a couple of years. I don't know if he's head coaching material right away after this. Will he be viewed as toxic? I have no idea. But he'll certainly, I think, have a job somewhere at some level.
I don't know why these guys all don't go back home and take a lower level job. I really don't.
Yeah,
To me,
like
to me, that's the greatest thing of all time. The bad
Right.
news, though, is now going to the lower level. They just steal your players, which is really frustrating. But I feel for these guys, but at the same time, he's making money. He's probably got some kind of clause in his contract where if he goes and takes another job, he might lose some money. So who knows? But he certainly can coach. Certainly he can recruit because Oregon always had great talent. It was like Wayne Morgan for Jim Boeheim. Jim Boeheim always got these guys out of nowhere, and that's obviously the assistants doing all that work. So Dana Altman had him, and remember Oregon always had players, that 6'6", 6'7" guy who could play the 4 spot, jump out the gym, great athletes. Oregon always had that. It's I think he'll resurface. I think he'll be fine. I hope he resurfaces, but you got to be careful. You can't throw you guys under the bus like that. Those press conferences, that 10-minute rule's there for a reason, and somebody needs to calm you down before you go in there.
You think it's a generational thing? Well, Dave, he's 59, Jerome Tang, so maybe it's because he's from that era, or you think even if you're from a different era, you still have to be aware of what's the modern day protocol?
Don't forget that the more things you have socially and media-wise, the more they're trying to. There's just more ways you can get fired.
Yeah.
So I always talk about shrinking your circle in real life. Well, in basketball, you got to shrink your circle. The more you do media-wise, you just got to be milquetoast. And people always say, well, nobody gives you an answer. Well, now you know why.
Like the Bill Belichick way of doing things. You give them nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Hurley gives you something, and you all criticize him for it. But Dan Hurley doesn't care if he gets fired. That's why I love him. He's
just goes to show you can't make them happy no matter what, basically.
No, so Dan Hurley's already got 2 natties, and bottom line is, he's so good they think that his team has a chance to win this year when they don't. But everybody's going to overrate them because he's coaching. So it shows you how good he is. But at the same time, I just feel like people just get a little crazy with this stuff. I mean, yeah, he's a year older than me, coach. So maybe it's a thing. We just don't. My generation. If you don't want to play hard, you just come sit on the bench. I can't believe that that's a generational thing. But you're right. It probably is.
So that DM, that Bob Knight quote. He's like, the best motivation. He's like his ass on bench.
I've said it for years.
There's no better motivator. You can talk about all the motivational speeches and phrases and devices in the world, but the greatest motivator of all is your ass on the bench. There is no better motivator. Ass meets bench. Bench retains ass. Ass transmits signal to brain. Brain transmits signal to body. Body gets ass off bench and plays better. I mean, it's a hell of a sequence of things that takes place.
I've said that for years. That old
one of the best ones. I'll play it in the video here, but yeah,
it's one of the best ones. I've seen it many times. The best ass is the bench. It's so true. It's the best motivator. It really is. But you can't go in a press conference and throw you guys under the bus. You can never do that. Can't do it in the media either. You have to take it. You're the adult in the room.
Even if you hate your own team, which it sounds like he does.
Yeah, he does. Well, sometimes there are years where you feel that way. I've had 2 of those in 36 years. So you can't stand your team. It's not, it's just there's many reasons. Everybody thinks that sounds horrible, but there are years where it is.
Oh, it happens. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
There are years where it's not any fun, even though you could see it's going to get better. But you have to go through it sometimes, and it's really 2.5, almost 3 years for me. But it's hard. Some years you just don't have a lot of fun with it.
So scouts and executives around the NBA have questions and concerns about Darren Peterson's mentality and availability mentally. So Kansas just had their worst home loss to an unranked opponent ever.
Cincinnati, I watched that game.
Which was unbelievable watching that. Yeah. So with obviously, like you said.
Happy for Wes Miller, though. Wes Miller, I root for him.
At the top of this draft, we talked about the Bansta and you have Boozer there. Obviously, this guy Peterson has unbelievable talent. There's no question about that. But as a GM, if you're in the NBA here, how are you evaluating this? Is this something that maybe you're concerned because there's video of this guy checking himself out of games? Now, I understand if a guy's just playing his ass off and you get tired and need a blow, but this guy's at times where he's not even playing. He's only played half the games for Kansas this year. And the games he does play, he's only playing about half the games. So what do you think is going on with this guy? And do you think that this is something that you have to watch out for if you're a GM or a coach that's in the position to be drafting him?
Well, first of all, there's two parts to this because I've been thinking about this for weeks because I listen to so much basketball during the day. Every podcast I listen to is basketball. Because that and politics. So this time of year is like just perfect. But the thing I'm really pissed off about is if you're going to make, and I'm going to try not to go crazy here because there are people high up in my family working their way up the ladder.
Is this load management here? Like, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
My point is, how do you compare him to Kobe Bryant?
Oh boy, yeah.
That's the comparisons that I hear. Now, listen, I'm not going to blow up here. Here we are. Can you pick any other guy, maybe in NBA history, if you want to compare him to? I'll maybe live with it. Maybe the worst guy you could pick is Kobe Bryant. Now, if you don't know what that means, go watch the Olympics when he knocked over his best buddy. He just plowed his ass.
Right.
Go watch the fact that even on that Olympic team, he was a prick to the other guys on purpose. You've talked about it. I didn't do it on purpose. Getting off the elevator at 5 a.m, he knows they're coming in from the bar. He's going to the gym, so they see him.
Yeah,
he's
there's no chance
mentally.
Right,
so
there's no chance this guy's doing that. Yeah.
So you're going to compare this guy of all the players. You could have 30,000 players, maybe in NBA history, whatever the number is. Please pick another one, please. The only next guy you can compare him to that would piss me off would be like Bird. Guy was in the gym 2 hours before and 2 hours after games. People are like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm working out. Bottom line is, we've lowered the bar so much now that we cover for this guy, and people want to blame the modern day player, which I do all the time because they are soft as shit, but we've created this. Like Frank Martin always said from South Carolina, we've created this. The players haven't changed. We've changed. And he's partially right about that because he is partially wrong also because the parents have changed, which makes the players change. But how far have we sunk that we're going to let this kid off the hook? This is freaking BS that this
Even
kid
Dick Vitale chimed in. He said, this is weird here. Like, this is odd.
This is really weird. If you're hurt, I'll back you up 1,000%. Be like the kid Johnson from Duke a couple of years back, who's now a good player for the Hawks. Got to give the kid credit. But maybe mid-December, he checked himself off that team. That team probably could have went, maybe had a run. But he didn't want to do it. He said he didn't feel good. I'll give you that. Everybody's probably even forgotten about that by now, haven't they? Everybody who listens to this probably doesn't even know who that is. All right, so bottom line is, that's okay. But you can't compare him to Kobe Bryant. That's my problem with this. And Bill Self is very frustrated. Bill Self does not lose those games. You don't blow out Bill Self at in Fog Allen Fieldhouse. You just don't do it. You don't blow out Bill Self anywhere, pretty much.
Right.
So it's very frustrating. But at the same time, like, this is what we've allowed, and it's obviously the kids' parents or agents, and this is what's happened. Now, if you want to get paid, then I say, all right, you want to solve this? One of my issues will be, all right, we're going to pay these guys, but the whole team has one agent. Nobody else has an agent. I don't want to hear about this crap anymore. You want the pay? We'll pay you, but now you're giving a give back here. I don't want to hear from some fucking street thug about who's your fucking agent. Some guy who can't spell fucking agent if you give him the A and the T. This fucking guy is going to be some street guy's agent. I don't want to hear it. So bottom line is, get that bullshit out of here because you know what? One agent then. We'll pay you. One agent, and you also got to go to class and you got to play. So now you want that money? Well, now you're taking some of that money back.
That's the thing. It's got to be written in the contracts. If you don't if you don't play a certain amount of minutes, if you don't show up to practices, like we can cut you and you don't get anything. That has to be,
right.
I think, something.
I mean, it's like these kids that don't play in a bowl game. Well, then give me my money back.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm just tired of the bullshit. Like some guy who's a hanger on from the neighborhood, who's your fucking agent. Get out of here. And if I'm a GM, and people say to me all the time, I argue with people at hoops all the time. Most of the people don't have the background of some of us, obviously. So I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just trying to be honest. But they have no understanding of the deeper thought of the game. They're like the actual just typical fan who sees surface shit. If you take him number one, there are stupid GMs out there. There are really stupid GMs out there. I'm sorry. People go, the GM knows more than you. No, they don't. There are bad GMs out there. Give me their job. My team won't be in purgatory forever. I know who to play. I know who to pick. I know where to pick them. I know I'll pick on freaking effort. If you're going to take this kid first, you should be fired on the spot. This kid doesn't have enough dog in him.
No, that's the problem.
Now,
you got to be able to persevere and be mentally tough. He doesn't have
Is he more talented than Boozer? But Boozer just wins all the time. You look at Boozer's back, he never loses. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
then you look at Debancha, he just plays.
Yeah.
You look at the kid from the point guard from Houston. He's just a tough kid. He's a little small. I probably wouldn't take him first for that because he's To me, I got to get a bigger wing first. But at the bottom line is that the freshman here from Louisville, Brown, is very talented. There's no way I'm taking this kid first. There's just none. No way. I'm sorry, you're not a dog. Caleb Wilson, very talented. He could be first, even though he's a Carolina guy, and I hate those bastards. Yeah, he could be first. This kid can't be first. I'm sorry. You keep taking yourself out. If you're hurt, stick the whole season out. I get it. I'll support you in that. But if you want to play this baby game, and the other day he's just standing in the corner shooting jump shots.
Right.
He's like a kid at the rec league or something. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know.
And Bill Self's a gentleman, so he's never going to say anything because he's not going to throw his guys under the bus. But at the same time, you can see the frustration on him.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, 6 weeks ago, maybe four weeks ago, actually, people would talk about how this team could win it all. No way. Not going to do it. You're going to play on a late Thursday night in the middle of the day on Saturday in a tournament and maybe play 18 minutes? No, get out. Not going to work. He's Zion Williamson already.
Exactly. Well, the thing that I was thinking of too, you've had obviously the culture for, I would say, at least 15 years now, at least, where the one and done has been very prominent. But guys even like Derrick Rose, John Wall, Blake Griffin, they always played hard. You didn't.
Derrick Rose loves to play. Derrick Rose is playing right now somewhere.
Even though, or Kevin Durant, you knew that these guys were going to leave for the NBA after 1 year, but you didn't think that they were dogging it their freshman year.
They weren't.
I watched the ball. You watched all those guys play. We all did. Those guys gave it everything they had for their school for that 1 year that they were there. So this I think is total BS. There's no need because now you have and I think even those guys, if you gave them money, and let's be honest, I'm sure Kevin Durant, John Wall, Derrick Rose, they got paid. They didn't stop. They did not play hard. Even though those guys knew it, they were going to be a top 5 pick.
John Wall always played hard.
All of them knew that. So for this guy to be doing this, it's just that's really. I mean, Jay Williams even talked about it. He's like, "This is an alarm right here. This is like a DEFCON 5 alert right here." And
but we've lowered the bar. This is our fault.
So I think if I have a top 2 pick, I'm taking, like you said, Boozer, DeBanston, like you said, maybe even Wilson from Carolina. I'm exercising every opportunity I can, maybe to pass this guy up and convince myself.
I'm not taking him.
Yeah,
I'm taking him.
Yeah,
I'll take him 10th if he falls that far, because then it's worth it. But I'm not doing it.
And I understand at the top of the draft, you have to look at, talent has to be the most important thing, but you can't have a guy who's brain dead mentally. You can't.
We're all talented at that point. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Nope.
So obviously, with how Kansas finishes, it's going to be very interesting because all eyes are on this guy now because this is just so glaring now. Kansas is a major program. This guy is very talented. There's no doubt about his talent.
No doubt about it. But compare him to Kobe is the part that just,
But a guy's heart and head, though, like you said, are just as important as his jump shot and his ability to jump and handle the ball. So if you don't have that, you're going to have, I think, you're going to have real serious problems. So I think it's.
Can we pick another guy, please? Like maybe say Carmelo, a guy who didn't work on his body or something. Maybe a guy who how about Kawhi Leonard? It's the perfect comparison.
Yeah, someone like that. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, Kobe Bryant. No one questioned his work ethic. Obviously, maybe his ability to be a good teammate and things like that were in question. But he worked hard, though. I mean, defensively, Kobe. You saw how much of a dog he was defensively. Guy got after it.
He's psychotic.
Yeah. So
don't compare him to him.
So Darren Peterson, definitely all eyes are on him, I think, for the rest of the season. And what happens in the offseason and the workouts and for these teams in the NBA, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 6 months with this guy.
Sure.
Going to transition, Uncle Dave, to a prominent figure here, but a guy I think that said maybe one of the dumbest things I think ever. Mark Cuban says the NBA should embrace tanking. And
Mark Cuban just says stuff to stay relevant.
I think this, like you said, this might be just something where he's just looking for attention here.
He's not relevant anymore. No one cares.
And I'm just going to read the quote here. He says, "Why the NBA should embrace tanking. The NBA has been misguided thinking that fans want to see their teams compete every night with a chance to win. It's never been that way. When I got into the NBA, they were in the basketball business. They aren't. They are in the business of creating experiences for fans. Few could remember the score from the last game they saw or went to. They can't remember the dunks or shots. I think that's totally false. What they remember is who they were with, their friends, their family, a date. That's what makes the experience special."
Wrong. 100% wrong.
Fans know their team can't win every game.
No one remembers who they're with. They go to see certain players.
Hey,
if the players off that night, load managing, I'm disappointed.
Right. He's basically making it sound like just going to the arena and just being there is just good enough. It's not.
Not for $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. They know only one team could win a ring. What fans that care about their team's record want is hope. Hope that they will get better and have a chance to compete for the playoffs and then maybe a ring. The way they get closer to that is via the draft and trades and cap room. You have a better chance of improving via all three when you tank. We didn't tank often, only a few times over 23 years, but when we did, our fans appreciated it, and it got us to where we can improve, trade up to get Luka and improve our team. The NBA should worry more about fan experience than tanking. But I'm sorry, fan experience is about how relevant your team is and their ability.
Nobody shows up for losing teams.
Exactly. If the team you know that your hometown team you're going to see you're going to lose by 50 every night, not less people are going to show up. It should worry more about pricing fans out of games than tanking. You know who cares the least about tanking? A parent who can't afford to bring their 3 kids to a game and buy their kids a jersey of their favorite player. Tanking is the issue. Affordability and quality of game presentation are.
No. Tanking is part of affordability and game presentation because if you don't sign guys to ridiculous contracts, you're all right.
And then it'll go up to the next point here that I mentioned to you. Charles Barkley, I DM'd you this. I thought it was a really mentally makes you think.
He's been part of the NBA. Let's get that out the way.
Sports.
It's sports. I agree with you, Kenny. We've got to come up with some type of solution because it's not fair to the game, first and foremost. It's not fair to your fan base. I've always suggested this rule. I don't think any NBA team should be able to raise their ticket prices if they're below 500. I've always said that. You cannot raise your ticket prices if your team is below 500. I think they should make that a rule in every sport, to be honest with you.
That'd be interesting, Chuckster. That'd be some incentive.
It'd be, but not even if you're still trying to tank, you can't raise your ticket prices because then you're getting your cake and eat it too. Which I'm for getting your cake and eating it too.
Yes.
But you should not be able to try to lose. So I've said there's 2 things. Number one, every team in the lottery should get 1 ping pong ball. They shouldn't give you more balls.
So everybody,
yes.
And that came out the other day too. Hey, maybe we're thinking about everybody's on the same level playing field.
Because the team that had the worst record, I think, has only got the number 1 pick like 2 out of 25 years. So give everybody 1 ping pong ball.
If you don't make the playoffs.
But also, this is another one. If you trade a pick, it's gone. Because now teams they can manipulate. Well, if it falls in the top 3 or 4 or top 7 protected. No, everybody gets 1 ping pong ball who's in the lottery. So
I would agree with that because there is.
But what about the other one too?
No, I think because what you're saying, like I look at the Indiana Pacers.
He said any team that's below 500 should not be able to raise ticket prices, and that all teams
I
that
love that.
I've
been saying that for years.
I think I've never heard that before. That's an excellent idea, though, for sure. Basically,
I've been saying that for years. How did the Jets raise season ticket prices?
Right. You've not had a winning season.
You're in New York.
Yeah.
I noticed, we're basketball, but how did the Jets get away with that? No.
Yeah.
Like, here's the other thing. There should be a new thing. When you want to be an owner, you should have to have enough money where you don't need to make a profit off your team.
I agree with that.
If I'm Steve Cohen, say, one of the Mets, I don't need the Mets to make any profit. I want to break even. And that should be the rule. If you're doing this for that, then you're going to keep ripping off the fans. It's $1,200 to sit in a decent seat at a Knicks game.
It is, yeah, it's incredible.
Well, the Dallas Mavericks, who have the best rookie we've seen in years, are charging like $100 for a good seat.
Right, it's unbelievable. So he mentioned that, which I thought was excellent, I think. And then he said also to avoid tanking, each team in the lottery gets the same amount of ping pong balls, so it doesn't matter.
I don't know how that works, though, because the worst teams do need the help.
I agree with that. I didn't. That was the one. I agreed with his ability with the ticket prices below 500. I think that's an incentive for sure for teams to not be tanking before the All-Star break. But like you said, the team that's the 15th worst team should not have a higher chance or just as good of a chance as the number 1 team.
Well, here's my thing with the tanking, too. What I've said for years now. If you want to do the tanking thing, when you're going to miss a game, you have to go like in baseball or football or hockey. You got to go on the injury reserve.
I agree with you. You got to miss at least a week.
A 5-game or a 10-game.
Right.
That's it. There's no sitting out otherwise. There's none of this crap where it's 5-game or 10-game. You got to go on the IL. All right, you got to do it. All right, because baseball people rest for 1 game, but baseball's not strenuous like basketball is. But you need to go. You need to go on the IL. It gives me a 5-game stint, a 10-game stint, because it's just unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Sure, you also a thread online that Adam Silver was proposing the idea perhaps that by the All-Star break, whatever the records are, those are basically, it's locked in who's going to be the number 1 pick at that point. Then you just have your top 15 worst teams by All-Star break, and you don't have to worry about the second half of the season and teams tank, which I got to be honest, I thought that was interesting too. I don't know
Yeah,
basically, I don't know. It's a tricky situation we have here, but I'm open to listen to all possibilities here of
you
fixing this.
have to. It's a real problem.
Yeah, it's a serious issue.
I
But
mean, the NBA this year with the lack of defense and just like, and I've watched just clips of some players don't even run back. Um, like the bottom line is like you get record numbers of guys. Cooper Flagg, who's one of my favorites, is not even a scorer, and he gets 49 and 47. So that tells you where there's no defense in the league. He used to get maybe 3 or 4 guys a year would get in the 40s. And, and that's the time when Michael Jordan's playing, Sidney Moncrief, Dr. J, Larry Bird. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is like, it's like every night there's guys who get 40 who like, look at him and go, who the hell's that? So, I mean, it's kind of scary. And like I said, I love Cooper Flagg, but he's not a scorer. And yet he's, putting up those kind of numbers. So it's kind of frightening to me. Which shows you there's no defense, and it's just the league is, I mean, look what the Wizards just did. The Wizards just sat 2 guys that could come back this year. So they get Davis and they get Trae Young, both guys who've never given a crap about a lot of things, and they're both going to sit them for the rest of the year.
well, you saw the Jazz a few weeks ago. They got just fine for the NBA because they sat all their starters for the fourth quarter. I mean,
Sure.
that obviously is someone that's trying to throw and tank a game. What I can't believe, Uncle Dave, I understand, honestly. I'm totally fine with this too, as someone who you want to compete and you want to win no matter what. The last week of the season, if you're a team that, let's say, has 20 wins, if you're just saying, hey, we're just going to pull up G League guys and give them a look and see what we have for next season, I'm totally fine with that, shutting guys down at that point in the season. But you can't be halfway through the season only. You got the second half of the season to go, and you're still talking about tanking. I mean, at this point, so early. I mean, the thing is, you always talk. Tanking was always been a thing, but it's happening now so early. Now that's the alarm. It's like you can't have a team, you can't have an NBA franchise that's talking about throwing games just after the All-Star break here. You still have at least 30 more games to go here.
Yeah, and the other thing
insane.
about tanking is, if you want to stop tanking, one other thing you could do is, if you're going to go out and get that high pick after you had such a bad record, the next year, if you don't make a certain level of progress, you lose like picks or salary cap or something like that. Because you know what? That way you'll stop the tanking and go get Caleb Wilson. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, all right, next year we got to win 20 more games. Well, if you're not going to win 10 to 15 more games, make it increments, then you're going to pay the penalty. Because then we'll see then you won't tank the next year. I got news for you. Because look what the Mavericks did on purpose. Now, is it funny to sit there and think that maybe they'll get Boozer to play with Flagg? Yeah, that'd be great. But it's just, and again, the NBA is their own worst enemy because they fix crap for years. So watch what's going to happen. You're going to hear this right now. It's February what's today? 24th?
Yep.
All right, February 24th. Tomorrow is February 24th, right?
Yep.
All right, so Cooper Flagg will definitely have a lottery pick playing with him next year. The NBA will fix this. The Mavericks will probably be picking about 8th or 9th right now if you just did the normal math, but I guarantee you they're moving up. Guarantee you the NBA is not going to let Cooper Flagg not play with another great player. They're going to let the Mavericks definitely get a ball somewhere in there. This has been done millions of times. The Knicks did it. They did it with Patrick Ewing. The Spurs did it.
Are you believing Uncle Dave with the frozen envelope, you think?
Yep. I mean, there's definitely going to make Cooper Flagg. Because you know what? There's not a lot going on right now with the young guys in the NBA. Great, but the older guys are definitely starting to check out. There's definitely a lot of LeBron fatigue. There's a lot of fatigue for guys, and Anthony Edwards is a great player, but he's not going to carry the league. And so they're looking at these other guys. They're looking at Edgecombe. They're looking at freaking Flagg. They're looking at Wembanyama. They're looking at these guys. And so, you know what? Steph's getting ready to check out. They're all doing it. So, you know what? They're going to guarantee, and this is one of the best freshman classes I've ever seen in college. Probably the best one I've ever seen. And they're going to guarantee that Cooper Flagg plays at some point. Now, who goes with him? I don't think it matters because Cooper and the way that basketball's played today, you can play multiple ways. But can you imagine, like, he's going to definitely get one of the guarantee Dallas gets a top 3 pick.
Yeah, that'll be something. I mean,
they're going to make that happen.
Well, what was kind of an eyebrow raiser was the Mavericks getting the number 1 pick this past year. People were saying, well, hey, they deal Luka Doncic, and all of a sudden they have the number 1 pick. My whole thing is I think the draft selection should be live, so there's no speculation of any funny business going on here. I would have it be like the lottery where the balls pop up with the team logo on it, so that way everybody sees it in real time. I think that'd be great television, I think, too, if you had that before like a finals game where the draft.
Funny thing, too, is that's right, Dallas shut down Kyrie, too.
Yeah.
And so here you go. They're going to guarantee this.
It's unbelievable. But also Shaquille O'Neal, Uncle Dave, he brought up a good point. He says, hey, like the teams that are in the top 5 worst records in the NBA at the end of the season, the last week of the season, you put them in basically what they do with the play-in tournament type of thing. Have them battle it out for the number one pick. Whoever wins that in like a
I like that.
tournament,
I like that a
they
lot.
get the number one pick. And think of it, if you're a team, if you're a guy who's on contract and you want to be the next year, you're going to play hard to get your team your number one picks. That way you have a better teammate next year. Or you
I
have,
like that.
yeah,
That's a great
think
idea.
I think that was a good move too. But all I know is I think all the ideas throwing out here, you definitely have to do something here. Even Adam
Oh
Silver
God, it's disgusting right now.
is
This is
saying
the
it's
worst. I can't wait for the playoffs because it's going to be fun this year. The matchups are crazy, but I will say this is the worst NBA regular season. Not because there's not great players. I'm really excited by Con Knipple, Cooper Flag, and Edgecombe. Very excited. But I'm also really disgusted by the lack of people giving a shit. And it gets worse every year. It's disgusting.
David Stern is definitely turning over in his grave.
Oh, it's disgusting.
He-
You know what? But here's the worst part. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, who saved this freaking league, are dying.
Yeah.
Dying. Larry Bird played the last year with like a fucking door hinge in his back. Guy laid on the floor on the plane. He wasn't allowed to sit. That's how much pain he was in.
Well, I don't know if you saw James Worthy call out the Lakers last night for lack of effort, but the Pat Riley unveiling of his statue, the Lakers got blown out at home by the Celtics by 20.
Yeah, well, James Worthy would. And here's the thing. It all depends on your best player. Look at the kid Brown for the freaking Celtics.
Yeah, he plays hard.
Tatum's trying to come back early, which I think is a mistake, even though we're sitting here.
They're second in the East, though. I did not think they'd be this good. I thought there's no chance.
Well, he better get coach of the year.
Coach Missoula has to be coach of the year. There's no question.
Yeah, him or Bickerstaff have to be coach of the year. But the thing is, they could lose in the first round easily because they're overachieving right now.
Of course, yeah. Yep.
This is one of those Belichick teams that goes 13-3 and wasn't that good.
Right.
But they went 13-3 against that Belichick. Or one of those Duke teams with like freaking, the
Greg
slow,
Paulson, Josh McRoberts. Yeah, they win 26 games and they lose to VCU. Well, it's like, they shouldn't have been in the tournament probably
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, they're gonna overachieve and then they'll get blamed for something. But that's okay. But I'm really happy with the Celtics. Their roster is awful and they're winning games. So it's amazing. I just wish they didn't give away my man Holiday. They might have a shot here. In the East right now is crazy. I mean, Cleveland's hot, but I don't know. It's crazy. I like Shaq's idea a lot.
That's a great idea. I think one of them.
I like the incremental jumps. If you don't improve by 10 after tanking, then you lose picks because it's getting stupid out there.
I think I would take the Charles Barkley method, no raising of ticket prices if below 500, and the Shaquille O'Neal basically like the draft tournament basically.
Yeah.
For who gets what's the draft order like? So I think that would be. I think if you do those two things, that would be excellent. It would be for good TV, I think, as well.
Oh my God, that'd be a lot of fun TV.
So I think I would be interested to see that happen. But going back to David Stern, though, he apparently was like a bulldog. He would call guys up and say, hey, like, look, you work for the NBA here. If you're not giving it your all, not saying I'm for a 1984 George Orwell style approach here, but that's conduct detrimental to the league. You're trying to lose on purpose. I would get you out of there, So
yeah,
basically would strong arm and threaten guys. So I think that's the way to be, especially when you run a league like this. I think Adam Silver, obviously, I'm going to say he's well-intentioned, but like you said, some well-intentioned things have had catastrophic results throughout human history. He's someone who I think has just been too soft. David Stern was truly a great boss, I think, and a great operative of the league because he knew I have to have order. It's like when you had the malice at the palace. He put in the dress code immediately and he fixed that up. He wanted to make sure the league had a better image after that. And I think the problem with Adam Silver is the player empowerment has just totally killed the regular season product. And this is the results from that.
Yeah, it's definitely, you got multiple guys standing up on the bench. Used to be if the second person stood up, they got a tee. I coached for 30 years before this happened. You stood up, you got a tee. Second guy stands up, it's a tee, automatic. Now we got 35 guys standing up on the fucking bench. It's not the Rucker Park League.
I don't know if you saw Uncle Dave, Mick Cronin with his press conference.
Yes, I love Mick Cronin, yeah.
Doug in the student section chanting Booker's name.
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
Do you really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't
section?
think you care about the other
Are you
team.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just
Yeah, you are.
talking.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, Who cares?
He got asked about the Michigan State student section, and he's basically like, "Why are you talking to me about the student section?" And then Bob Hurley, Uncle Dave, Bobby Hurley, he got talked about with his team's last in the Big 12 in rebounding here. And basically, what's happening is at these schools, they're getting these like student assistants or whatever that are in who knows what type of journalism course to kind of ask these coaches these questions. It's just, you could tell it's just almost like a punked type of segment where they're just asking them these ridiculous things. What do you think, Uncle Dave, with some of these coaches here? Obviously, these guys know how to conduct themselves. They've been doing it a while, Bobby Hurley and Mick Cronin. You think with like the press, you have to have certain credentials for this? Do you want to give new people a chance? But obviously, some of these people that are asking these questions, it's just try to get a click or a like or just have an aha moment.
Well, first of all, he should be identified as a student when they're asking that question, if they're a student.
Right.
It should say student reporter here. That's first thing. And that way you'll know to give up him. But second of all, I just think that you're seeing the massive amount of frustration by guys who don't understand this modern crap of not playing hard, not giving a shit. Like your names, again, remember, everybody always talks, again, this is a society where we celebrate all the things from the past. But today, you're not allowed to do those things. So, for example, we won yesterday in the hockey. In 1980, we won the same day. In 1980, Herb Brooks always used to say to his guys, the name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back. And not anymore. Not anymore. It isn't. Not to the moms, not to the dads. I've told you this story a million times. I used to go recruiting, and I'd be the guy to sell the mom, and all they ever cared about was an education. That's all the moms ever asked me about. For 6 years, I ran around finding players. They cared about their kids' education. Coach, you're going to make them go to class. You got to get a degree. We had nice gyms. We had beautiful campuses. They never asked you about that. Now it's all about, what are you going to do for my kid? That's 30 years. Last 30 years, mom's asking those questions.
It's funny. Even in the Last Dance documentary, Uncle Dave, Michael Jordan's mother was even asking about that. With North Carolina. Yeah, Michael Jordan's mother.
I'd sit with the moms. We'd walk them all over Stony Brook's campus. Last place we'd always take them was the beautiful gym, because if you remember that gym, we had a gym like that. Nobody else did. And the moms would look at you like, okay, how about class? They didn't care. Yeah. They didn't care we had the best gym on the planet. Nobody, but they didn't care that we had a better gym than St. John's. Nobody cared. So all they cared about was class. So they would sit there and just drill you like, yo, coach, you going to call his room, make him go to class? Yeah. I mean, they didn't care about anything else. Today, it's all about it's the name on the back now. It's not about the name on the front anymore. And it's just changed so much. And it's the adults who've changed. It's disgraceful. And so, it's really, really scary. Mick Cronin, I don't blame him for getting frustrated, but I think these coaches are just so frustrated it boils over. And that's why I said some assistants got to
10 minutes. Yeah.
Like if you know your boss, and I know some guys are afraid of their boss that way because some guys have that kind of presence. But I don't care if you're Rick Pitino. Somebody's got to grab him and say, Rick, remember, we just had a tough loss here. Let's,
right.
Sure,
take a deep breath, right?
Make sure we don't, we don't compound this. And I know that's hard, and you're afraid to say that because that's Rick Pitino. He's going to have 1,000 wins soon. But the thing is, somebody's got to say it.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to grab Dean Smith, I'm sure, or Coach K. But you got to do it because they're going to say something stupid because, it's frustrating. This modern day situation is very frustrating for these guys. And Mick Cronin's been a good coach for many years. And Bob Hurley, like I said, to me, one of the hardest working players I've ever seen in my life. He used to get they changed a couple of rules for them. They changed that damn hash mark with the 5-second rule because Bob Hurley was just wearing that shit out. People don't even know what I'm talking about with the hash. You used to have to get the ball under the hash every 5 seconds, or else you could delay the game.
Closely guarded, right?
And Bob Hurley used to be a little hash on the side of the court. Then they got rid of the hash. Well, the hashes are still there in a lot of courts, but they got rid of that rule because Hurley wouldn't let you get below the hash. That's how tough you would guard your man-to-man wise. So they got rid of that rule. But the thing is, this guy, you got to tell this guy that you're not going to play hard. How's Bob Hurley going to understand that?
I think it's just a matter of what I'm noticing here is we have like the disintegration with maybe player effort and player desire, but we're also having
everywhere, dude. It's even in high school.
We're having a disintegration, I think, with reporters, I think, in questions and ethics and all this other stuff.
Everything's about clicks now. Think of the society we have.
Yeah, this is obviously someone, though. I mean, like you said, when have you been asked if I don't care, Coach K, Dean Smith, Bill Self, when have you been asked about other teams' student section? Who cares? I don't understand that at all. Ask something about the actual game.
Yeah, and then you have the guy like in a situation where you're looking around here and you say to yourself, it's a kid asking, so some kid's going to try to be a punk. You should lose your gig for that. But no one will do that because they'll be afraid of the mommy's phone.
You have these student journalists from the other school, and they're trying to obviously get under the head coach's skin, and it's just you can see it's just ridiculous how you.
Carolina's played another half, by the way, here where they only had 2 fouls. Now they're fouling on purpose at the end of the first half. So who's reffing these Carolina games? They had 1 foul versus Duke in a half, and now they had 2.
Yeah.
Now they're doing it intentionally. So
UNC fans will say it's wonderful defense.
No, it's definitely not. If you watch Hubert Davis defense, this is the disgrace. It's a disgrace. Yeah. Who's reffing these games? Carolina alums. But the bottom line is these guys are frustrated by the modern garbage that we're seeing.
I think that's what it is too.
And it just boils over. But at the same time, I've been around a long time, and I'm smart enough to know that you can't say those things at a press conference. And Mick Cronin and Bob Hurley are both, Bob Hurley's a little younger than me, but Mick Cronin isn't. So they should know better. If you want to be frustrated and you want to go after your team, don't throw them under the bus. Just go after, say we didn't do this tonight, we didn't do that. You can't do what Doug Gottlieb did either. Even though the refs do suck, sometimes you got to say that.
Doug Gottlieb had a great crash out the other day, yeah.
But he's under the microscope because Doug was the guy I respected. He had opinions, so people don't like that. But then we'll say, well, how come nobody gives you anything anymore? Well, now you know why.
No, absolutely. Go Uncle Dave to Dan Hurley here and Ed Cooley talked about how the crowd size for UConn, they were
expensive.
Section, honestly, I was surprised that there was empty seats up in the section. You got a national championship team, and this place should be sold out every day. You know what I mean? I just was shocked. That actually shocked me. You got a top 10 team, a Saturday night game. This place should have been bouncing off the wall on a Saturday night with a team that's out there like that. That's just what I saw.
Hey, Coach. The first thing Ed said when he walked in here was that he was surprised by the turnout in the student section. Is that something that concerns you, especially because you always like to hype up the crowd during the big moments?
Well, I've kind of given up on that a little bit. I've done that. I don't get the same response. I guess. When we took the program from where it was, which was, I don't know, what was the Ken Palm when we took over? I don't know exactly what that was exactly, but, when we first got here, we played in front of paltry crowds. Sam's doing something. What do you got, Sam?
It's 179.
It was a 179 Ken Palm when this group of people got together here to rebuild the program. So, we played in front of crowds. And this is the basketball capital of the world. But we played in front of crowds my first year or two when we weren't very good. I remember playing at the XL Center in front of 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 people versus Tulsa, or in here versus South Florida. And I'm not them. Those are all really good programs, but I'm just the state of where we were, where, maybe we're getting 5,000 or 6,000 people. But when we've given our fans 2 national championships out of the last 3 years. We're 24-2. We're 14-1. We've been ranked at the top of the rankings the whole year. I don't know who named that. Did the school name we're the basketball capital of the world. There shouldn't be criticisms of our crowds at games. Ed, when I saw Ed during the handshake line, Ed asked me what was up with the crowd. And there was just a lot of empty seats. I think the section behind our basket was empty. It should be a madhouse when we play here at the basketball capital of the world. For our games, we need our fans in the games from the tip when we're playing defense to get loud, and obviously when we score or hit a 3 or dunk the ball, it's pretty easy. But when we look at the environments that we play in, when we wear the UConn jersey, Xavier's a madhouse when we go there. Creighton is a madhouse. When we play St. John's now in the Big East road game, that's not Store South no more. That environment that we played in was a serious, nasty environment, an intense environment. We were at a major disadvantage in terms of the atmosphere. I mean, I could go to Kansas and some of these different places that we play, but yeah, I mean, I try to get the crowd. Fans could criticize me all you want. I got some equity. I've got 2 national championships here in the last 3 years, and we've given you the season that there's a lot of programs across the country that fans wish they had going. So, I'm not doing that anymore, though. I asked the players to try to do it. You don't come to watch a game. It's not a social event. Right? Like, this is the basketball capital world. We need our fans to come to the game and be loud as from.
It was empty. Well, yes, we're going to get to that with empty seats in the for UConn's home games here. Obviously, Uncle Dave, UConn has been one of the winningest programs in the last 3 or 4 years here with Dan Hurley, and the run he's had there has been incredible. And they're one of the best programs since he's been there. So, what do you make of this with lack of fan attendance here? Students, obviously in Connecticut this time of year, it's not like you can exactly go out and do something great outside. So it's not like you have a warm weather area where there's other things to do. You're in Connecticut, you have a great basketball team, and the weather sucks right now on the Northeast. So what do you make of this here?
Well, with UConn's a different situation because the girls program is still as big, if not bigger than the guys program. 2, I don't know what day of the week the game was. I think it was a Friday. But Providence isn't a big draw. But yeah, you're right. But then again, I want to know what the costs are.
Georgetown, they played.
Yeah, oh God, I'm not definitely playing. I'm not going to see Georgetown. But bottom line is, like, it's not new anymore. And I've said this to you for years. In teaching every day, less and less every year you see kids are into sports.
You think it's just spoiled fans, you think, maybe?
No, I just think it's kids just want to see the gambling aspect. They don't have to go to a game anymore. The way kids consume games now is not the same as the way you grew up consuming games.
Right.
Everything is a gambling aspect. People don't even watch full games anymore. People watch the red zone more than their own team. I have a ton of kids in school who don't even have a favorite football team, but yet they follow the NFL every day because they're just gambling.
Right.
I'm watching my purple guys no matter what time they're on. I don't really need the red zone. I'm watching the purple guys. So that's the way it goes. But rest of the world's consuming it a different way, and how we consume things is different. But yeah, UConn fan. But again, is
like Dan Hurley. He mentioned, he's like, when we've gone to Creighton and Xavier, he's like, these are really ugly, ecstatic fan bases here that are really getting after it. It's kind of like when UConn goes to another team's building, it's their biggest game. But when UConn has home games, obviously, I'm not saying there's no one at these games. Obviously, they still have tremendous fan attendance, but that it's not completely packed out and it's not exactly electric like he's describing some of these other fan bases.
Well, he's right about that, though. But if you're going to go into Georgetown, DC's got other options. Now, you say Connecticut doesn't have a lot of other options, but you're still in the metropolitan area.
Yeah.
You're still in the metropolitan area, so there's other things you can do. You go to a place in Creighton, what else you doing over there?
Right.
What else you doing at Creighton? What else you doing? And that's the beauty of even the triangle down there with Duke, NC State, and Carolina. What else you doing there? All right, you got the Hornets, but really it's still a college town. Even though those are cities, what are you doing? So I think that's part of it. But yeah, it's spoiled fans. But then again, I mean, it's difficult. I want to know what the prices are. You're pricing people out of these games. Again, that's one of my biggest beefs with all this crap is the prices. I mean, I just can't believe these games.
That's a factor for sure as well.
And again, in the NCAA tournament this year, we're going to see some places that have that host those first read. They're going to have 4th and 5th rows going to be empty. How can you not make those tickets affordable for somebody to sit there?
Yeah. If you did, they'd be packed out.
Or once you're 10 minutes before game time, we start moving people down. It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
In the first and the second round of an NCAA tournament, to have some guy buy a block of tickets and not use them just because, like a person like me, I'll go sit down there.
Right.
Why do I got to pay $400 for 2 games? Well, let me. If you want to give me $400 for 2 games, all right, let me go down there.
I think you should usher people down, like you said. If there's no one that's in those seats by halftime, let's say.
Everybody goes, well, that's illegal. No, it isn't.
No.
There's nothing illegal in the gym. So bottom line is, like, give me a break with this crap. Like, this is where we're our own worst enemy. This is where the NCAA or whoever's running this stuff these days is pricing themselves right out. So you've also. You hate to say it, this paying players thing, it takes everybody out of it. No, today you can't even let the kids, like live on campus because the world's gotten crazy. So now you isolate the kids. Now you pay the kids. You're making a division between the student and the athlete.
Yeah, they're not even a part of the school really now anymore.
No, they're not. They don't even have to go to class anymore. No one cares. So, I mean, like, it's just a disgrace. So, like, you really got to sit there and say to yourself, like, what are we doing here? But this is what we've created. And it's kind of crazy.
I would say so.
We're getting to a situation
here. Yeah,
here.
it's out of control for sure.
You're creating a freaking monster. And
yeah,
pretty soon,
it's ugly.
Pretty soon, you're gonna have 25 teams in their own conference, and then the rest of the country will compete privately. I'm telling you, because I'm reading these articles every day. Schools like Arizona who are facing a $25 million budget fall from last year. Rutgers minus $30 million. I mean, these are big schools. You're in the Big Ten. You'll owe $30 million from athletics.
How's that possible?
You can't keep up, and the next year the salary cap goes up. So how are you going to keep up? Arizona? That's a brand. Like Arizona can't keep up?
Yeah, Arizona is like a top 15 basketball program of all time.
So here's the situation then. So you're going to have situations where you're going to have 20 schools that are going to have good football and basketball, and that's it. And the rest, you have to put their own league because half the Big 12 is going to drop. Half the ACC is going to drop. Look at BC. They're not spending the money. Half the ACC is going to drop. Half the Big East can survive because they're not really relying on football. And then half the Big 12 is going to drop. They're all going to go.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to compete. Yeah.
And you're going to have to get them out of there because they'll be upper and bottom. They'll be like the Washington Generals versus the freaking Globetrotters. Yeah. Not going to work. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen.
Really, when you think of it, it's kind of an alarming pins and needles kind of feeling when you think of it like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, like, it's really weird because I'm a hoop junkie, so I watch high school playoffs, I watch everything.
Yeah,
but the quality of just play is still there in a different way, but at the same time, the commitment level, and that, and then like again, this idiot today on this freaking thing. Oh yeah, it's the best. This is one of the best basketball seasons I've seen in 30 years. Why? Because the players are better. Totally disagree. Yeah. The freshman, again, the average player is much worse. The better player might be better than they were back 20 years ago, but they're not. Their average guy isn't.
Yeah.
It's not even close. And so I told the guy, I said, Jason, you're 100% wrong, dude. It's not better. These teams are not. These are microwave basketball teams. None of these teams is sniffing 96 Kentucky. They're not sniffing 92 or 91 Duke. They're not sniffing 90 UNLV. They're not sniffing any of those teams. They're going to get their ass kicked.
I would agree. We talked about it, the microwave basketball for a season. There's no way.
Beating 2012 Louisville with that veteran backcourt who'd been there for Rick Pitino for years. He'll kill him.
Way. Yeah, there's no way. Couldn't do it. Those are teams, like you said, that had camaraderie together, and you played multiple.
Yeah, that matters. And hoop, what's the biggest team sport? It's hoop.
Or think of it,
5 guys.
Like that 06, 07 Florida Gator team. They would kill these teams.
Yeah, they'd kill these guys.
Yeah. Joe Kim Noah and Al Horford and Corey.
Yeah, and Brewer. They're going to kill these guys. They played together. It matters in basketball. I don't have to call something every time down the floor if I have a feel. No. I know what you're going to be. You know how it is. You've had guys you played with probably playing pickup or in men's leagues with for 10 years now. You know what they're going to be.
Yeah.
No, that's what that means.
Yep.
That's why these AAU teams that funnel together are crap. It's one-on-one, your turn.
Right.
Pass and go screw yourself. And the bottom line is you can't do that. It's not how basketball is.
No.
But this is what we're doing now. So this is a situation where this is where we're at. And it's scary because, you don't want this to happen, but it's happening.
Sure is. So I guess we'll transition, Uncle Dave, overall to the NBA product here with the standings and everything. Got to say, Uncle Dave, James Harden 5-1 since the Cavaliers picked him up. So maybe that's something that it's going to wind up being a great thing for Cleveland here.
Well, they had won 2 in a row before he got there. I was keeping track of that, but but I said to you 2 weeks ago that they were going to make a run. You just have to be patient. I think they were ready to make a run. They were, like I said, they only had won 2 in a row, but the conference is open. People give it to Harden, but I told you 2 weeks ago when they made the trade, if they're just patient, they're going to make a run one way or the other because the East is wide open. The Pistons have definitely, secured that 1 seed. Boston is not a real threat at the 2. The Knicks, I still think, the Knicks adding Alvarado, I think, is going to help.
He's definitely giving them an extra spark for sure.
Toronto's just floating there, but right now there's just, I think there's going to be a little bit of tank in here with these playoff teams to see who they can avoid, and especially in the West. I mean, there's some shit here that these teams do not want to deal with. I'm telling you, like right now, like the Cavs have played the Raptors. Now, if you're the Raptors, there's no way you want to let that happen. You almost want to but Philly's 3 games behind you. You don't want to play a freaking Cavs first.
No.
And the Cavs only a game behind the Knicks. So, you'd much rather play the Knicks. So this is going to get crazy because Boston, the Knicks, and the Cavs they're separated by 2 games for the spots 2 through 4. This is huge. Meanwhile, the Magic and the Heat are tied for 7 and 8. And the 9-10 first play-in is definitely going to be the Hawks and the Hornets. I told you a month ago, that the Hornets were going to get in here. The Hornets are now a game and a half up.
I think the Hornets are like a top 5 story, I think, in the NBA this year. I mean,
again, Brandon Miller.
500 is unbelievable. Yeah.
Brandon Miller, everybody tuned him out because he didn't fill up to expectations, not his, everybody else's.
Right.
And, he obviously has had some legal troubles, and obviously we know all that. But the thing is, and I don't feel bad for him for his troubles. He's involved with some jackasses, but here he is, averaging 20 a game, getting 1 steal, 1 block a game, 5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists a game. Then you got LaMelo Ball. If he could ever just stick around, he's getting 19. Con Kneppel's 19. Miles Bridges. This team's averaging 5 guys in double figures. This is a dangerous damn team. I'm telling you right now. Cole Croner coming is your backup big guy. Musa Diabate is not playing bad either. I mean, this is going to be crazy. You got Trey Mann. All right. I'm telling you, this is going to be, Zion James is a good backup. This team is going to be legit. This team goes in there. I'm telling you, despite the fact that they're young, you could be in there in the best of 7, tied 2-2 with this team, and they'll lose because they're young. But you do not want to be banging on. It
was like the Thunder when they had young Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. They took the Lakers to, I think it was 6 games.
This is one of those teams that's going to be sitting there, and you're going to be going, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah,
and you're going to be banging your head on the wall, and you're going to sit there and say to yourself, I don't know what I don't know what to make of this, but this is one of these teams. You don't want to deal with them. You'll be sitting there in a tie series 2-2 somewhere, and you'll win, but they'll take it out of you.
No question. So I think they're definitely, I want to say, one of the most pleasant surprises. 27 wins. Prior years at this point, they had about 15 wins. So the fact that they're that much better. And Con Kneppel, I mean, he leads the NBA in 3-point makes. I mean, he's absolutely incredible. So I'll
tell you, last year when he got his feet square, everybody told you the kid from Kentucky was the best shooter. I tell you, Con Kneppel was the best shooter.
Yeah,
if he gets his feet set, he's the best. He's not going to be as good a player as Klay Thompson, but he's going to be that level of shooter.
And as good as the Celtics have been, you just figure by the time they get to the playoffs, right, this comes crashing down to earth. There's no way they can just be that good. You think, right, that they're just overachieving.
I mean, when you look at the Celtics, this is.
Like you said, Missoula is just proving his worth here. It's unbelievable.
But you know what's funny?
I mean, Peyton Pritchard is like a top 20 player in the NBA right now. The way
they go down and they get hungry guys. It's kind of like that freaking model that the Thunder have, except people forget the Thunder have 3 studs, not 1.
Right.
Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard's averaging 18 a game.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Jesus God.
He took the Lakers apart single-handedly last night.
Derek White and Anthony Simmons having a solid year.
He is.
14 a game. Vucevic 11.8. You forget
he's
about him.
He's a nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice player. Yep.
But then you got Nick Nimitz Keita is having a good year. I mean, it's just stupid. Sam Hauser's getting himself another contract. Garza, I'm so happy for. It's just this team is nuts. You look at this roster, you just shake your head. You say, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, and they're winning games, but again, they're hitting threes, and that's the way he plays. He finds hungry guys. He's probably having the time of his life coaching these sons of bitches too.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because Derek White and Brown are the perfect guys,
right,
to coach. Because Brown is just one of the most
underrated. He's not a really vocal, bombastic.
Yeah, he's one of the most underrated players I've ever seen. Just because he's not a self-promoter.
And like you said, no matter who's on him, when he drives to the basket and he jump stops, guys just bump off of him. He's just
he's a man. He's a man. Then the Sixers are this crazy team because Embiid has shown some flashes here. They're scary. Orlando's finally starting to figure it out a little bit. The Heat are just, like I said, in purgatory. Atlanta doesn't care anymore. I don't know what the hell they're doing. And Charlotte's fun to watch. So the East is going to be nuts. I'm rooting for the Pistons, though, because Bickerstaff got hosed with the Cavs, and I want to see him do well with the Pistons.
Do you feel like right now it's the Pistons and everybody else that they're they're the number 1 seed?
Dave Cunningham better win MVP, I'll tell you that.
You think so? Yeah.
Oh my God, how do they have the best record in the NBA?
Yeah.
Let's look at the Pistons here for a second. This is their roster, right? This is insanity. So, and this is where overachieving as a coach gets you in trouble. The kid Duran better be an all-star, and he's not. Cade Cunningham, happy for Tobias. Obviously, Duncan Robinson has found something again that he didn't have
He's
in Miami
averaging
for a
12.
while.
Yeah.
Asar Thompson is having a really good year. Again, they got 6 guys in double figures. Isaiah Stewart having a
Crazy
very nice
motherfucker.
year.
Isaiah Stewart wants to fight everyone.
Yep, Jaden Ivey I like. Holland is he's coming out of nowhere, averaging 8 a game. I'm surprised that Karis LeVert has not been better. But that's a little bit disappointing. And Herter got banged up, obviously. Wendell Moore for the old Dookie there is not getting it done. Isaac Jones only played 1 game, but this roster here is obviously not a great roster. But Jalen Duren is a beast. But again, they got a lot of good parts here, and Cade is that kind of player. Cade is he's like he's not a pure scorer. Cade is a guy that does a little of everything.
He's averaging a double-double this season, 26.
Yeah, he's averaging 9.8 assists, and here's the best part: he's 1.4 steals. And I tell you, he's better be the MVP. If it's not, there'll be an investigation. They got the best record in the league, and you know that they're not the most talented team in the league. So I'm really happy for Cade Cunningham because he took some lumps. He really did. They were bad. And then in the West, like I'm talking to you about this logjam here, if you look at this right now, if it ended today, which is a horrible phrase, I acknowledge that, there's 2 series that the NBA does not want to see this early. Houston would play the Lakers, so right there you're losing a marquee name. And then the T-Wolves play the Nuggets. Right there you're losing a marquee name. They don't want that. And I'm telling you right now, there's 4 teams separated by 1 game between the 3 and the 6 seed. So there's going to be some jockeying that last weekend on April 12th.
You want like the Timberwolves playing the Warriors because the Warriors are out of it. And you want like the Lakers playing like the Blazers. You want those type of matchups.
Right. And they don't. And I'll tell you what, Phoenix is not going to go quietly. Phoenix is going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they're going to be a bitch to get out for sure.
This is going to be a problem. The Clippers are playing their best ball. So
yeah, it makes no sense, right, with them.
So this is going to be wacky, but you do not. If you're the NBA, and the Spurs are happy because they're just sitting there at the 2, they're locked in there. But between the Nugs and the Wolves, this is outrageous. 1 game for 4 teams, and this is going to be disgustingly fun to watch because that I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, I might want to play the Lakers because they don't guard.
Yeah, I mean, watched them last night. I watched the whole game. I mean, Boston just gets whatever they want offensively every shot.
Rockets Lakers might be the most fun series though. Because
that would be fun to watch for sure.
The Rockets can't get the ball off the court.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just gonna milk that shit online for sure.
Yeah, like so the Lakers just gotta find someone to take whoever brings the ball up the court the whole freaking playoff. And just have fun with it. And Phoenix could still catch the T-Wolves, but the T-Wolves have not improved their team. There's a GM that needs to go. Had not improved their team. The Rockets are still sitting there with no point guard. I mean, like, what are these guys doing at the deadline? So the Jones brothers are sitting out there, and nobody goes and gets one of these sons of bitches. It's crazy. It's sick out there right now. This is the playoffs are locked in. The 10 teams in the West are locked in. Memphis tanked. They're done. This kid's got to go from Memphis, and I don't want to hear about him anymore. This kid sucks. Mavericks, Jazz, and Pelicans are done.
You're off the John Moran train?
Oh, so tired of this motherfucker. I mean, what is this? This is like Diet Gilbert Arenas. He wasn't even have as good.
Yeah,
he wasn't even having as good a career. He wasn't even having as good a career as Gilbert Arenas. At least Gilbert Arenas had some playoff runs.
Right. Yeah, he's considered like radioactive now, John Morant. Like he's not.
He sucks. I'm tired of hearing about this freaking punk.
Yeah.
Go do what you do without the NBA, which would be nothing.
Right.
So this guy, get another one. You're playing. Your team's playing 382. But I had a kid in class the other day tell me how great he was. I said, let me ask you a question. So we looked it up in class. At that time, they were playing 400. I said, so you think this guy's good? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, well, let me give you a little perspective. I go, let's find out if Magic's teams haven't played 400. He's like, okay, we'll look it up. I go, he's like, they're never under 650. I go, that's right. Now, most of those years they had Kareem, you could say. You're right. But then some of those years they didn't have Kareem, they're still at 650. All right, so they're never at 650. So, like, never below 650. So there's a difference. There's people who win, and there's everybody else. So, like, this kid doesn't win. He just doesn't. And there was talent around him. He's ruined it.
Yeah, you had Jarrett Jackson. You had Desmond Bain. You had...
Jarrett Jackson's one of my favorite players in the league.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks. I mean, I think that you wish that could have been able to marinate a little bit and then been able to take it to the next level. It just seems like they were just like a lunar eclipse, came and gone.
Well, that's the problem. The Suns have just lost Brooks now, right, for a while?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But they're at that 33 and 25 mark right here, 7 in the West here. So they'll definitely...
Grayson Allen, 17 points a game in the NBA.
Yeah, he's having a nice career for himself. He's someone you never hear.
Perfect timing. This guy in the 90s would be getting 4 a game, but in this league, forget it.
Yeah.
He squares those shoulders. Colin Gillespie, 13 a game in this NBA.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Colin Gillespie in your fucking men's league would not get 15 a game because people would guard him.
Right.
This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. No, like you said, the lack of effort sometimes defensively getting back is insane.
Ryan Dunn from Virginia having a nice little season for himself. I mean, oh my God. Iguodaro's having a good year. Jesus Lord. Some good players out there. Royce O'Neal doing a good job, averaging 10 a game. Mark Williams from freaking Duke. Told you that kid would be a stud. Oh, God.
And the Lakers wanted him bad.
Oh, they were right.
Yeah.
I give him credit for that. They were right. They were right to want him. Nigel Hayes Davis, still not waiting. He still can't stay healthy. Jesus Christ. I don't know, dude, but this is an interesting team too. I'm happy for them, but without Brooks, that loses a little bit of their edge.
Yeah, they definitely his almost like punk demeanor almost gives a little bit of flair and fire to them.
Well, it gives Booker a little bit of toughness too, because
Yeah.
Booker's like Booker's like KD a little bit. He could be like I'm just gonna come out here and shoot my J. It's like, well, you got to do a little more than that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, he's having an outstanding career this year, Devin Booker. I think
he's averaging 20 a game. 20 a game for freaking Brooks. 20 a game for Brooks. The guy can't score in the gym by himself.
Now he's offensively improved.
Yeah. He saved himself. He'll get one more contract and he'll be on the adios.
Right.
Golden State Warriors. Yeah. Hey, way to go, guys. I'd just like to point out to the Steph Curry's the best point guard fans that, again, Magic never had a 500 season again. And
yeah, the Warriors, as Steve Kerr said, they're a dying franchise right now as far as their.
Yeah, but he's been a part of that.
No, he is. He is. Like you said,
you know what?
The Jonathan Kuminga thing with him was absolutely disgraceful.
And you're gonna play Brandon Pajemski is better than Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. This is
where I tell you all the time. This is why I always tell my former players who are coaches now. Some of them in college, some of them in high school, some of them in JV. I tell them all the time. Remember, basketball is different than any other sport where a coach can ruin a guy's career. And I'm telling you right now, Brandon Pajemski is not better than Jonathan Kuminga.
No, he's not.
And how the hell is this kid playing 57 games, 27 minutes a night at 6'1", running around like a YMCA player in the fucking men's league?
I know.
Meanwhile, Jonathan Kuminga, 6'8", gives you something you don't have, athleticism. If you can't make that work, then you're a punk as a coach.
Yeah, I don't understand that. The whole Kuminga thing, you never really got an answer on that to why you just couldn't be playing that guy. I'm like, and the times he did play, I thought he played well. I don't get it.
Yeah, so I mean, look at the
GM. Gotta have some
the GM's got to go too. You go out and you get what do you go out and you get Seth Curry. What's we can have the guys hang out together?
I know.
Like, what are we doing here?
You're having a good
what are we doing?
Vibes. Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, you go get Al Horford, who's
he
more of what you have.
He can't.
I love Al Horford.
Yeah, it's not Al Horford of 7 years ago, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but even if you were a team that, Al Horford would be a great guy if he didn't have to be the main guy. But now you need this freaking guy. You should have no size. You don't go get Al Horford.
What about Kristaps Porzingis when they?
Oh my God. Jesus, what are we doing here? Who's the fucking GM?
Well, it's not Bob Myers anymore.
No, he's on ABC. He's smart.
Yeah.
Because he got out of there once he realized that Kerr was going to be a dick and didn't develop any younger players, which there was actually a couple articles about that. About how they knew he would never develop younger players. So you know what? Get rid of him.
Well, Mike Dunleavy, Uncle Dave, is the GM for the Warriors.
Well, boy, he better pick it up because this is disgusting.
Former Dookie.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jimmy Butler's hurt, but still, I mean, Steph's played 39 games. He's not the same guy anymore. Draymond is. I love Draymond, but it's just getting disgusting out here. They've really pissed away. They pissed away some things here when they could have. They've done some really bad moves. They didn't develop. Steve Kerr's worried about criticizing ICE. Meanwhile, he supports China, but that's okay. We're killing the Uyghurs. No big deal for Steve. Steve's politically selective, of course, as always. But again, Steve hasn't developed a younger player. But hey, whatever. They'll go to the Hall of Fame. That's nice. Bottom line is they got a bunch of guys who can shoot and can't guard. And then they get their ass kicked on the board. So right now, you're hoping to get the Warriors in the fucking first round.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think whoever gets them or the Lakers, I think you're licking your chops because neither of them can defend.
Well, Lakers Warriors first team to 150 wins.
Right.
I mean, now I'm not saying the Warriors can't beat you because Steph could start doing the helicopter.
Of course,
shit
yeah.
Shaking. But the bottom line is, if you're patient and you have discipline, you're killing them. You're taking them out.
Right.
You're just going to take them out. Eventually, it's the fourth quarter, and you're going to take them out. But I feel bad because you could have got something for Draymond, or you needed to build around Draymond and Steph, one or the other. And you got rid of my guy Clay there, which I get. A couple of knee surgeries, I get it. You had to get rid of my man Clay and the two-way player. And the Magic have been a little disappointing this year, in my book. Just not as what I hoped they would be. I thought that Bane would help. Paulo has been good, but not as good as I thought he was last year. Franz Wagner's been good. Bane is averaging 20, but I don't know, man. I'm not digging it.
Yeah, I thought they would be more. I thought they'd be closer to 40 wins at this point rather than 30.
Jalen Suggs, not as good as we hoped. Wendell Carter, it's been okay, not doing bad. But after that, they just don't have a lot. They got Bits a Day, who's a good player, and they got Tyus Jones has had a good little year. Jonathan Isaac's having a good year, but at the same time, they need to play a little better, a little more. Jeff Howard, they didn't get enough bench here, and this is going to cost them big time. But again, look at the spot they're in. They're in that 7 range. So right now, you see them sitting there. They're going to wind up playing like the freaking Knicks now, the Celtics. Now that team could beat the Celtics. You know that.
Oh, they could for sure.
And that's where I hate what happens to these coaches. So now this guy Bickerstaff will not sleep a wink during the first round of the playoffs. Imagine having the fear how good a job you've done because somebody put a false tag on you and say, oh, he can't win. Well, he got Cleveland to a point where they could win. You just needed to let it marinate a little bit, but you didn't want to let the steak soak up the juice. So you sat there and you rushed it and you burned the fucking steak. And they go, well, Kenny Atkinson got him to win. Yeah, of course. Kenny Atkinson's a great coach, but that doesn't mean Bickerstaff could. And so now Kenny's under the gun. Bickerstaff, like I said, not going to sleep a wink. Missoula.
Well, it was like when the Mavericks with Dirk Nowitzki, after they made it to the finals, lost to the Golden State Warriors in 07. It was like, yeah, that was an upset, but it was like, understand the Warriors had Jason Richardson, Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, and Baron Davis. I mean, any team that has those guys on it can beat you in a series. So that's
absolutely. Richardson's one of the most athletic players of all time.
Yeah, those guys were studs. So like you said, if you're the Pistons and you draw a matchup with, let's say, the Magic, I mean, Pablo Banchero can take over the series maybe on you.
Yeah, he could. He definitely could.
And
the Celtics got nobody to guard him.
Right, exactly. So it's one of those things where you said these teams that overachieve in the regular season, all of that gets forgotten if you get bounced in the first or the second round. All that.
And that's what I'm saying. They'll be killing Joe Mazzulla without realizing that this guy. It's about
any other coach with this team, like you said, they'd be 25 wins right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not a Joe Mazzulla style fan. I'll be the first one to admit that. But he's done a great job, and you got to call it what it is. But this playoff positioning, you're going to see some tanking down the stretch here. Because you got about 20 plus games left here. You're going to see some strange shit going on here. Because right now, these guys are in the lab trying to figure out who they're going to play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because, the Bucks right now, 24-31. I can't believe they didn't deal Giannis. Right now, the Pacers and the Nets are kind of tied for this last worst spot here. And then, meanwhile, the Sacramento Kings would get the first pick, but they're never going to let that happen. The NBA is not going to let the Kings have that first pick. Mavericks are going to get it. You watch. They're going to make my man Cooper Flag get it. They're going to fix this league.
How obvious would that tampering be, boy?
Oh, but they don't care. Right now, the NBA is like, hey, I like all these ideas. Everybody gets the same ping pong ball. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I love
let's look at my man Cooper Flag's numbers here, by the way. So Cooper Flag, 20.4. He's not even a good scorer yet, kids. That's the scary part. 6.5 boards, 4 assists. Here's the best part: 1.2 steals and 0.8 blocks at the wing. Okay, so that's insanity. They picked up Chris Middleton. That was a strange move, but I guess you do what you got to do. Let's see what his averages are this season. He's shooting 48% for the year, which I was hoping would come up, but it hasn't yet. Shooting 48%. It was up for a while, but then he had a couple of clunkers. 30% from 3. That's where he's got to get better, as we know. But he's having a hell of a year. Con can nipple on him.
And, the NBA can't wait to get him in the postseason. That's for sure next year.
Oh, that's That's why I don't like what the Mavs did. Because even though you're sitting Kyrie and Anthony Davis,
I wish they would have went for getting in the playoffs. I wish so.
They were about a game and a half out of the 8th spot when Cooper went on that 40-point binge, and they were right there. All you had to do was get in the 8th spot, and for them, it's valuable to get in the 8th spot because if they get in there, yeah, they're not going to beat the Thunder.
Think of how much fun that would have been, though. You would have had Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flagg in the postseason. It would have been great.
Oh. I know, and you know what? And they could kick anybody's ass.
And that's the thing. You just said, hey, if we get these guys to the postseason healthy, we could win this fucking thing.
So how can nobody can see that?
I know. It's I don't know. If you're the GM of the Mavs right now, it's disgraceful, I think, honestly. It's disgraceful.
But then you go, oh, we're going to get a better player. And you're right. But at what cost? So now you're going to get a better player. And you're still not going to be ready to win because it's going to be Cooper Flagg, Klay Thompson, and a rookie.
Well, you remember, Uncle Dave, The Last Dance, Michael Jordan's second season where he had the foot injury. That was the whole thing. They're like, hey, let's not make the playoffs and get a better draft pick. And Michael Jordan's like, well, fuck that. He's like, that's a loser's mentality. And I agree. Every chance I get to make the postseason, I'm going to take it.
You're gonna have a 19-year-old next year and another 19-year-old. You're gonna
exactly.
It's gonna make you that much better,
right? Exactly. It's not. Even if you got, let's say, DeBanster or Boozer, you still have your best players at 20 years old. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, especially in this league. And then you still got to get some guards. Like, come on, dude. Like, as Kyrie's under contract still, so we're good there. But Jesus Lord, like, how do you let this?
You have enough talent though with that nucleus right there. If you got into a 7-game series, you could beat anybody. That's how I feel.
Yeah, plus you know what? In those playing games, they would have had to play like the freaking Suns. That would have been fun.
Right. Yeah, it would have been
the Warriors.
Yeah, they're denying us that. That's really shameful, I think.
I tell you what, there's another one more team we got to look at here. I got to look at the Jailblazers. How's this team near 500? This is another team that, this is the kid, 24.4, Denny Avda, 24.4 game. The best player in the NBA nobody knows about.
Uncle Dave, you got to give Tiago Splitter some credit, too. I mean, the whole Billups thing, we've even forgotten about that. He was the active coach when this happened. So, I mean, they had a grenade thrown into their season. The fact that they're even close to 500 right now is unbelievable.
This kid, Denny Avda, 24-4 and 6.6 assists.
Yeah.
Donovan Clingan, who I love, 11.5 boards a game. This is awesome. I
hate to say it, Uncle Dave. I actually don't hate to say it. If you got, let's say, an all-star on this team, I mean, they could be scary, I think.
How do you not go out and pick up the free DeMar DeRozan from the goddamn?
Yeah, that would have maybe been. He's good enough to make a difference. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the best part right here.
Scoot
Grant averaging 18.5 a game. And my man Drew Holiday, Dennis Johnson of this generation, 15.5. He's banged up. Scoot Henderson. Oh, I was hoping we'd get it done here, but he hasn't yet. Sidney Sissoko is another good player I remember from his college days. This is a funny.
What's unbelievable about them though? They have 8 guys averaging double figures. I mean, that's insane.
That's got to be a record.
8 guys, and then the guy who's 9th right here. You have Vit Krejci at fucking 8.8. So I mean, shit. I mean, they're unbelievable with how they're able to just spread the wealth here offensively.
Yeah, well, if they can get Scoot back, he's a good player, man. I'm telling you, this team is fun. This is what I'm rooting for in the West.
Yeah,
I want a Hornets Blazers final.
Yeah. Just something totally obscure and out of the ordinary.
I know I'm not getting it, but I don't care. I'm gonna be watching the old Jailblazers. One day we got to go back and visit that Jailblazers roster. We meant the Jailblazers.
Yeah, we might have to analyze a few of their playoff games and everything too.
Isaiah Ryder.
They were fun to watch. I mean, Steve Smith, Rasheed Wallace, Damon Henderson, Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, but then they had the jail. Then they had the all criminal team. Now they had the Jailblazers.
Jermaine O'Neal,
the guys who are all getting in trouble in the league. That was a fun group. Team parties Rasheed Wallace, Isaiah Ryder, great team parties.
Oh, for sure.
Oh God, great.
Mike Dunleavy Sr. as the coach.
Oh man, he's a great coach too. Very good Laker coach too.
I mean, they were.
Louisville looks like shit tonight. What is Louisville doing? Are they smoking crack?
Yeah, well, Louisville
is so talented.
You have the guy who's a former G League guy on the team.
Well, Louisville is so talented, and Carolina is actually playing defense. This is like against the law here. I didn't think Carolina was allowed to play defense anymore, but they've only committed 2 fouls again. Carolina. It's one of those situations tonight. But it's funny because they're Louisville Louisville's really hurt themselves here. That was one of the best games I've ever seen live. Was that SMU Louisville game last week? The talent on the floor is just insanity.
Yeah, yeah. How was that environment?
It was great because they needed it because they think it's another quad one win, and it's that the arena is like 9,000 people, so it's quaint. So it's it's like the Duke Arena size. It's just, and I think the fans were really geeked up. I mean, it does start a little bit early because it's an hour earlier there, so it's a 6 o'clock start, which I think hurts like the pregame environment. But what a great place! I mean, the red, white, and blue.
Unis
all over the place. It's just a really good place, and the football is going to be crazy to see those games because out there, football's like religion,
right?
But it was a great environment. One of the best games I've seen because it was nobody had a better lead than 6 until the last minute.
Yeah, those are those great games where you have no one has
both teams just so much talent. Like there was like 25 NBA scouts because Louisville's got 3 or 4 kids the kid Brown, this kid, he's been hurt a little bit too, but he's a guy that nobody can ever speed him up. Nobody ever gets him to look like he's out of control, which to me is a scary skill that he has as freshman. And then they got the other kid. They got 2 good big kids. I mean, Louisville's tough. They've got a really good team. Tonight, they're looking like crap. They don't look like they're interested tonight, which is a problem. Carolina's showing some heart without Wilson here. They also got Virginia's best player from last year, Louisville. So they got McNeely. This is a dangerous team. I know, like in the beginning of the year, people were talking about them being a top 5 team, and we put a little bit too much pressure on it. But at the same time, this loss will make people forget about them, and then they'll be back again.
We'll conclude, Uncle Dave, with Chris Paul announces retirement from the NBA, and obviously he had an incredible career. There's no question.
I'm shocked by this. I can't believe no one wants to pick him up.
Well, that's what I thought. Like the Rockets, someone like that. Kevin Durant has a lot of
very surprised. I'm not a Chris Paul fan.
Yeah,
but he could still help somebody.
Absolutely.
And I'm very, very disappointed that the Mavs or the Rockets did not go get this guy.
Yeah, but I mean, he rookie of the year. He was a 12-time NBA All-Star, 11-time NBA All-Team, 4-time first team, 5 second team, 2-time third team. He was 9-time All-Defensive NBA team, 7-time first team. He led the NBA in steals 6 times, led the NBA in assists 5 times. He's part of the NBA top 75 greatest players anniversary team. He won 2 gold medals. Number 2 all-time in assists in the NBA, number 3 all-time in steals. So he's one of only a few players in NBA history with 20,000 points and 10,000 assists. So obviously an incredible career for him. He only made the finals 1 time in 2021 with the Suns. So he's unfortunately, but obviously fortunately in a way, he's part of that illustrious group of players that were great but never won an NBA championship. So great career for Chris Paul, though. Obviously a guy who's 6 feet tall to play this long, unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm surprised that nobody picked him up, though. Really disappointed in what the league values sometimes. I know he's very controversial in the fact that he'll tell a guy that they're not going hard, and I know guys don't appreciate that today.
Yeah, he was a little bit prickly. Not a great maybe locker room guy. I mean, he's definitely were some complaints of him in shots, but obviously the guy was certainly a great player to play this long and at that level.
Yeah, my point, though, is that he could help somebody, and so I don't care if he's racing. I know some of the coaches don't like him either because he'll tell a coach where to get off, which is what a lot of times some guys do. It's unfortunate, but he could definitely help these teams, and so that's a little disappointing to me. But I'll live with it, I guess.
Oh yeah, you don't feel bad for him. Obviously, the guy had an incredible career, but I mean, just an elite defender, elite playmaker. Definitely was underrated offensively, had great shot making ability, just an outstanding player. Definitely enjoyed watching him. He was a hell of a player at Wake Forest.
Sure.
So for a guy like him to have a 20-year career in the NBA is just unbelievable.
Well, him at that size too. That size shows you how tough he is.
Oh, he's one of the best players ever under 6'3". There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and the other thing is the lack of point guards out there.
He was a true floor general for sure.
I think these GMs really making a mistake here. I mean, you can't tell me that he couldn't help the T-Wolves.
Well, that's the thing. A guy with his experience, you can't match that. You can't duplicate that. Like you said, it's unbelievable.
Plus, him and Edwards together would be frightening.
Yeah.
Because he'd be just like setting them up.
But yeah, that would be incredible, I think. Yeah.
Maybe there's just some abrasive stuff that we don't know about besides the stuff we do know about. But at the same time, if you could play, you could play. I'll take some abrasiveness. I don't give a fuck.
No, I agree. And plus, it's the guy's last chance. It's not like he's going to go in there and become a wrecking ball. The only teams he was like that with were teams that he was running the show. So I don't think it would be exactly like that. He wouldn't be like a guy who's a locker room disruptor at this point in his career. But it's incredible how good he was for as long as he was. Though I can't like
Sure.
the longevity with him is really unbelievable. I mean, his days when he was with the New Orleans Hornets, I mean, he was just a freak. This guy, how good he was. I mean, you look at like his numbers too. I mean, he led the NBA in assists in 2021, 2022. I mean,
True.
up until 2022, 23, his last year with the Suns, he was still averaging double figures. 14 points and 9 assists. I mean, unbelievable how good he was. So
Yep.
it's a shame. Obviously, I really enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah,
But
it's a good player.
hell of a career, though. There's no question about that, though.
Yeah, he's like I said, I never liked him, but I respect him. But at the same point, somebody could use him. So whether I like him or not, the evaluation by these GMs again, I think there's so many bad GMs right now in this game. I mean, some of these teams, I don't know what the hell's going on in their mind. I don't even understand it. But who knows? I mean, I don't know what these people are thinking out there. I really don't. Some of these teams, it's just garbage time, and I don't get what they're thinking.
The Lob City Clipper era definitely, I think, will be what he'll be most remembered for. I mean, that team was just really fun to watch. So, what was some of the things, Uncle Dave, with him, or a thing that was you said you weren't a fan of his necessarily? What do you think was one of his problems?
I guess I'm not a fan of him because of the fans. It's one of those things where fans would say he was
okay.
He was,
I see
he
what
was
you're
that. So
right,
it's not really him personally,
right?
Because this is what happens. The media today makes you dislike certain guys. Like, so I never had a problem with Derek Jeter, but Yankee fans would tell you that he was like Babe Ruth, and you're like, dude,
right.
not. I mean, so it's just disgusting. So people on these basketball sites would talk about Chris Paul, and I always said I never remember he made like one big shot in his life against the Spurs that time. But I'm not like, he just never was the guy that was the best point guard in the league. I always thought he was right around there. I do respect his old defense. That's the thing I respect most about him. But I guess a lot of people tried to say he was Steph Curry, and he definitely isn't Steph Curry.
No.
But people were trying to say that. So I guess it was more resistance. It's not him personally. I just think that his offensive game never got good enough where I thought he should have been able to score even a little more. I will say I don't think he shot enough. I think maybe he probably should have been a little more selfish, and he wasn't.
Yeah, 23,000 points for his career.
Yeah, I just think he wasn't selfish enough as a scorer. I mean, what did he average? 17 a game?
For his career, yes. Yep.
Yeah,
his best years offensively, he's averaging 19. 1 year he averaged 20.
He's got. I'd like to seen him get downhill more and looked a little bit more to try to score. But I know he's trying to be a true point guard, and I respect that. But it's more like what people overrated him as, because I never thought he was as good as Steph, and I'm a bigger fan of Steph than I am of him. Steph drives me crazy sometimes. A little overrated for me personally, because I never thought I never saw him like lead the team. Like
I think there was that window where Steve Nash and Jason Kidd were getting out of their elite territory from like 2009 to like 2013. Him and Darren Williams were like the top guys, I think, in the NBA for his point guards.
Plus, if you remember, his college career was like that too. They lost to Pittsnogle in West Virginia the night that we won the Federation at St. Anthony's.
Yeah.
Remember, we were at that place in Huntington there, that Italian place, watching that game.
Yeah.
He's a great player, obviously. First, in my book, first ballot Hall of Famer. I just thought that he was never nearly the best guy. And to me, people would talk about him like he was the shit, and I just never remembered the big shot.
I agree with you. I think the thing with him is there's not enough of those great postseason moments that you can recall offhand.
Well, they're up 2-0 against the Bucks, and then Middleton goes crazy. And, they start blaming the big kid from Phoenix, the kid that they never should have got rid of is now in the Lakers. It's just one of those situations. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, when you don't play your best in the biggest games and the biggest moments, then you can kind of maybe that's something that certainly is going to be, I think, not a problem, but maybe what people will criticize when they're talking about the greatest of the greats. You're going through these guys with a fine tooth comb at that point. Then
the other thing too is
it's hard then on you at that point.
That spot is the spot of royalty in the league too. I mean, look, you got Magic Johnson. Even to a lesser extent, you got Dennis Johnson. You got guys like,
Isaiah
guys like Jerry West. You got Steph Curry's totally changed that position, kind of like what Jerry West had done for a while, where he's scoring out of it. It's such a, Chauncey Billups scoring out of it. You had a situation where that position has changed, and I don't know. He never was one of those guys. Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot. They all had their moments.
Right.
Every one of those guys we mentioned is gotten it done in a title game, and I know he didn't get there, but those Lob City teams definitely underachieved.
Yeah, you definitely think if you're a fan of those Clippers teams that they should have gotten a championship one at least out of that team.
Shit, they didn't even get there.
No, I know. They didn't even get to the finals. Yeah.
I mean, Blake Griffin. Holy Christ. Doc Rivers. I mean, again,
Andre Jordan, Matt Barnes, JJ Redick, Jamal
I like Doc Rivers as a player, but again, you name some of those guys that are all guys that put up numbers, and Redick's a little bit of a douche. I mean, you got douchey guys there, and that's what happens. You do. You have
Pierce
guys
at the end of his career. They said a couple. I think it was Paul Pierce said a little bit of contention there when he was starting to play Austin Rivers, his own son, a little too much.
Yep, of course. And I can't believe Austin's out of the league. I really don't.
He's talented enough. I think he should be in the NBA still. He should be.
It's almost like they're punishing him for bullshit.
I know.
He's talented enough. He was playing well. They took him out of the league.
He's talented enough. I think he should be on a roster. I agree with you.
Somebody just took him out of the league. Oh, we made him. We made him for what? What are we, 5 years old?
Yeah, I know. Unbelievable.
I mean, how the hell is Seth Curry in the league and not Austin Rivers?
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's bullshit. But you see this a lot. This is the stuff that happens, and it's like I said, it's bad GMs out there. People, oh, this GM knows more than you do. Disagree. Some of these guys suck.
Yeah, someone like Billy King, man, he was pretty bad for quite a while.
Oh, he got naked pictures of son. I love Billy King, one of my favorite Dookies, but I tell you what, oh my God.
Yeah, he had some rough years there as a GM for the 76ers, my God.
And then he did the Nets too, didn't he?
Yeah, he was with Brooklyn, that's right.
Yeah, he's got some naked pictures of somebody.
Yeah, he was he did it. Not the best ways for sure.
No, he's got some he definitely has somebody he's seen somewhere doing something.
Like you said, he got every damn chance, so there's no question about that.
Well, he's got great connections. Coach K makes a call. Plus Larry Brown was a fan of his, so we got Larry Brown and Coach K making a call for you. You're going to get an opportunity.
Right.
It's not like my Coach K.
That's right.
I had a different Coach K.
I had the other Coach K, as you always said.
I always say I worked for the other Coach K.
That's a great line.
Hey, tell me if it's not accurate.
True. We'll conclude there, folks. All right. Live long and prosper. May the force be with you.